doing video, audio, and I'm speaking to.
Antonia Okafor.
And Amanda Collins Johnson.
And if I may ask you both, why are we here tonight?
We're here because we, for a long time, have been talking about the gun ownership issue with, not advocating for more women, to finally carry, particularly on college campuses, and how egregious that is, and trying to end that movement and start a movement that brings female empowerment and gun ownership together, particularly on college campuses.
And same question to you.
Okay,
Ms.
we're
Collins?
here tonight to speak about the importance of campus carry and how it is impactful in the feminism movement, and to raise awareness about the horrific effects of sexual assault.
And I guess I want to swing on an interesting opposition point to those who may not be fans of campus carry, which there are a fair amount of critics to that issue across the country. What would you say to someone who would ask you, like, why should, what would you say to an opponent of that position?
How does rendering me defenseless protect you against a violent crime?
Several things, but from the female aspect, the woman's aspect, in college campuses, the feminist movement is particularly taught to a lot of young women, and if you really believe in the feminist movement, if you believe in feminism, then it should be a natural extension to allow women, particularly on college campuses, particularly where sexual assaults do occur, to be able to choose how they defend themselves. If they're able to do that same thing off campus, which they are, and that's what campus carry is about, is allowing those who already have that permit off campus to then carry on campus, then why aren't you allowing that man to do the same and defend themselves?
Fair. And then, so again, kind of swing back on the same message, since that is kind of the message of the night tonight, on feminism and the idea, and the political position of the day. What would you say is the state of conservatism today in that realm, in terms of the movement?
In terms of the feminist movement, or female empowerment movement, or the firearms gun ownership movement?
All three.
All three? All
three. You said it.
Yeah. With the conservative movement, I think with the feminist aspect is that they still see feminism as a taboo, feminist as a dirty word. But it's not only just conservatives. I've actually taught, like I said in my speech, inner city girls, and I remember that they see that as the F word, right? Feminism is something that's radical and that's not, that they can't relate to. But bringing back the educational aspect of where the roots of the women's suffrage movement, of the real women's empowerment, women's rights movement. A lot of the values that we have as conservatives are actually the same values that those pioneers of the women's suffrage movement, like Susan B. Anthony and so many others had. And so it's just remembering where our roots are and talking about that. And so I think right now, though, it's just so taboo that people say, oh, no, I'm a conservative, so I'm not feminist. And I'm like, no, know your history. Your history is actually conservative women who are pioneering women's equality and women's rights, and they're not mutually exclusive.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And you've both talked about personal experiences in tonight's speech tonight. In that what made you guys proponents of this position, and if I may ask, why? Two-part question. Why talk about that to a degree, and how did you overcome the fear, or at least the barrier to talk about it altogether?
So why talk about it? Because there needs to have a conversation in order to have change. And that's like the faith. I don't know, my husband always says a lot of wars would have been prevented if people had just communicated with each other. And then coming over that barrier was really finding my identity in Jesus and not being worried about what people were going to say about me or say to me, because at the end of the day, my identity rests in what he did for me on the cross.
And sorry, Mrs. Amanda, sorry.
Yeah, and same thing, and that's what we have in common is we were talking about even earlier. Is just we were both healed by Jesus Christ. Like our faith is what roots us and that has grounded us and healed us from that pain of what we both experienced. And so, because our strength is in Christ, our identity is in Christ, we're able to use that strength when we're weak, right? Use His strength in order to do what's best for other people, and that's to share our story and to share what He has done in our lives, and how just like that young woman who talked to us, that it can impact another person to be able to share their story and hopefully get on the path of healing as well.
Fair enough. I wanted to ask this because you made an allusion to this during your speech tonight in regards to the fact that there's a degree of sexism in regards to the issue of gun rights and whether or not women should have firearms. And I hope I'm not trying to be offensive by asking this, but in your speeches across the country, interactions with people across the country, do you run into that? I mean, frequently, or do you run into that at all?
Oh, of the sexism. So, are you talking in the aspect of why the anti-gun side of sexism of why you shouldn't have a gun, or is it sexism?
In both sides. In both sides. Yes, I'm kind of leaving it open-ended there.
Okay.
I think both sides are guilty of that, to be honest. I've walked into a store to purchase a firearm, and the clerk automatically wants to guide me to the revolvers and to the
380 and King
and the little ones that are cute. And I'm like, no, actually, I want the big knife and honey, are you sure you can handle that? I don't want to. Yeah, I'm sure I can handle that. Can I please see it so I can see how it feels in my hand, type thing. So I think.
And it's not as snappy either. It's like, come on.
I know. It's so much easier. So I think that it comes from both sides. But I do often get told, oh, sweetie, if you had been carrying your firearm that night, statistics say that you would have been much worse off. Because of...
And someone's actually literally said that to you.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Look it up. It was Colorado, 2013. Yes, because I was pregnant with my middle one. Evie Hudak, look it up.
By name, too.
Yeah, Evie Hudak she was a representative who, she was repealed, what's that?
Recalled.
Yeah,
Recalled.
She was recalled from that in Colorado, but yeah, look it up. It happens.
Oh, yeah.
In public, all the time.
All the time. That statistically, the whole more likely a gun is going to be used against you than for you to use it into self-defense. Even though the numbers show 3 million people a year use a firearm for self-defense, and women included. Over 200,000 of those are women. Just several different things no evidence has shown that a woman is actually protected when they have a firearm, or they're safer when they have a firearm. This is Moms Demand Action. Actually, it was just on their social media not too long ago, saying essentially that even if you did try to do the same type of training, the same type, had the same competency as a man, right? That you wouldn't be capable enough, right? Only men can. You as a woman, uniquely as a woman, would not be capable enough in order to actually use that firearm, so you could use it in self-defense. So it's innately shown. If they said that for anything else, they would have stopped it right there, and it would have been sexism. And so us calling that out as sexism is exactly what it is. And they use it selectively when it suits them.
So it sounds like this is something. For you guys, it's an occupational hazard, but if you were, as you speak to people across the country, what words of advice do you have to people who are looking into this topic, or namely, fellow gun activists, or any curious party who is running into that kind of an issue?
That's a good question. What advice? Wait, I'm sorry.
No, I can start. My advice would be, particularly if it's another student and someone who believes that I should have campus carry, why don't other students who are talking about it? They're going to have several different reasons why you shouldn't have a gun on campus. A big one is that they think, again, that double standard of the university comes here and tells you as a student that you are the best and the brightest, right? And that you're their pride and joy, like a parent, right? They put you on this pedestal, but when it comes to firearms, when it comes to self-defense, even like again, not just guns, but self-defense, like I said about Massachusetts, not allowing pepper spray, the idea is that you should not be able to take care of yourself. You should rely on us, right? And also then they would also have to say, oh, that there is an element of not being safe on campus, right? Which is not going to be good for their bottom line in the future, because they want parents to actually come on campus and send their students there, right? So there's a lack of awareness as well. So I would say the educational aspect of educating people. Do you know how many assaults have actually have taken place in this university in the last few years or a few weeks? That alone for me, when I was anti-gun, that was the awakening when I realized this is happening where I live. It's not something that's far off, even though we're in a residential area. This stuff happens here, and how am I going to defend myself? I think that is a powerful way to individualize that argument.
Yeah, and then I think for people who are initially on the other side, or even just people who are on our side, I think education is so important. So do your research, have those really tough conversations with people, and realize that just because we disagree doesn't mean that we're horrible human beings or we don't like each other. Like, you can still walk away from a conversation with mutual respect, right? But we need to start having those conversations,
right,
so that we can start understanding where each other's coming from.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to do two more here. So I know I've kept you up for pretty long here. You talked about an organization called TEARS.
Tear Speak.
TEARS Speak. Can you briefly explain what that is?
Yeah, Tear Speak is, it stands for Teaching and Empowering Assault Rape Survivors. It is aimed at educating society about the detrimental lifelong effects that sexual assault can have on an individual, and then goes further to give a voice to survivors to be able to voice what's happened to them, but then to be able to go beyond that and be able to reclaim a full life after surviving rape, and equipping them and giving them tools that they need to be able to do that.
So it's an advocacy and self-education group, so to speak.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, is there a way someone can look this up, or?
Yeah, on Facebook. I'm laughing because I'm working on getting a website up, but on Facebook you can look up TearSpeak 07, and that's where I'm at.
And thank you for explaining that. I just wanted to ask about that because I didn't hear a lot of details, and I wanted to get explanation on that.
Thank you. Thank you for that's like my heartbeat. So thank you for asking.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I want to ask you a secondary question, because this is a local question. As your event, that has brought you here tonight, was a rather harrowing one, and a pivotal event that occurred on this campus. And I guess you have a unique perspective because of that.
Yeah.
Point blank, no pun intended, but on this campus, since the unfortunate incident that occurred to you 12 years ago, do you think this place is a safer place and has made meaningful changes to make things safer?
No, I do not. I think that they've.
And I mean you and R, and that this place.
No, I don't. I think that they have tried to implement things that give the illusion of being safer, as far as a call boxes here and there and stuff, but ultimately all of those solutions still leave me waiting on a response time for somebody to come when I don't have time. So, no, I don't think it's safer.
And I'm going to let you both jump in on this question. In corollary to that, since you gave the answer in the negative, what do you think can be done to improve on that from your vantage points?
Campus carry.
Which I know you kind of answered, but I kind of wanted to hear in detail. I mean, how.
Past campus carry, you look at the statistics of colleges that have passed that, and like Antonia shared, a 19% drop in crime rate is
in one semester
is huge.
Yeah.
And so, because it gives the possibility of meeting a matched opponent. And so it causes people, if you look at where crime typically happens, criminals think about it. It's not typically like an impulsive act. They look and hunt to see where people are most vulnerable. And it happens where people are unable to effectively defend themselves.
Fair enough. And I guess I'll close on this since we've covered a lot. And I thank you for your diligence and your thoroughness in this conversation tonight. You guys, I thank you for that, and also for waiting this long. Is there anything else I didn't ask you guys tonight about the initiatives you're working on, the topics you're dealing with, Campus Carry, your experiences? I mean, anything at all that you'd like my viewers, my readers to take away from tonight, or anything at all that we didn't talk about? You have the floor.
So I have an organization as well, Empower 2A, and empower2a.org if people want to go on the website. But yeah, my organization is focused on empowering, through the Second Amendment, female students on high school and college campuses. Because again, it's stopping that pipeline of women who go on to go into organizations like Moms Demand Action and stuff like that, to stop them at this point so they're educated and that they are activated to be advocates, so that they're the face of campus carry, they're the face of concealed carry, they're the face of gun rights. And so just passionate about that and pushing that, and that's why I speak. And we're really looking into Florida and trying to pass campus carry there, because year after year they continue to say no. So
I think the biggest thing for me would be for other survivors out there to let them know that they're not alone, and that living a full life after is completely possible, and to fight for that for yourself. Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for entertaining my questions, and thank you for coming to campus and having a conversation. And thank you for again. I apologize for what you've gone through, but I thank you for your bravery and being able to speak about it and using such a negative situation for a positive outcome.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, and we end here on audio and